Hey, what's up guys? So I'm checking my comments on the bodyweight recommendation page, and Run Like Hell 1991 wants to know what I think considerations should be for longevity in your movement practice. So movement, by the way, for those of you who don't know, are things like Capoeira, Floreio, which I'm probably pronouncing terribly. It's floor work, it's flows, it's just general movement, exploration of what your body can do in a number of different planes at different speeds and different levels. And what that means is like turning from a bridge into maybe a low, like lizard type position, like when people are doing their lizard walks and things, coming through like a wrestling sit-out, maybe kicking over into a handstand, all in a nice smooth motion, right? It's the kind of thing you see in Capoeira movies. So in order to maintain longevity in all of these movements, really you need to take things in a very slow and progressive manner. You gotta work technique, and even though these the idea behind flows is to ideally teach spontaneous, unplanned sequences of movement, the reality is that the vast majority of practice will simply be spent practicing specific flows over and over again, because you have to get practice with certain transitions. You can't just like go from a squat, kick over into a handstand, and then come down into a flare and so on and so forth. You can't do that once or twice or 5 times and then do something else and then do like 45 other things every day and make much progress in them. Your nervous system doesn't really learn that way. If you don't use a pathway over and over again, it can't take root and grow new connections and have those connections come stronger and change the levels of inhibition and excitation across interneurons, so on and so forth. And so the physical construction of our nervous system and the biochemical mechanisms through which it works and changes require that you repeat things, which is why all athletes repeat their skills. Football players run the same routes over and over and over. Soccer players practice their passes and their tricks and everything else over and over and over. And the list goes on. The same thing applies to your movement. So if you want to be able to like maintain longevity in your movement, then you're going to have to develop proficiency in everything that you do in your movement, and that does mean a certain amount of slow, boring practice, okay? That is kind of a fact. And the nice thing is that, you know, after you've practiced a certain flow for a couple of months, you're going to be pretty good at it, and once you lay those connections down, you can just do it once or twice and those connections are maintained. So it's really the learning process that takes a lot of time, and that's like a good example of that is when I used to fight in high school. I was a Muay Thai fighter. We spent about 2 to 3 months on maybe 4 or 5 drills, and then those would basically be mastered at full speed, and then we'd move on to the next set. And so the first one was essentially just a slip where a punch was coming out, and as that came by my head, I moved just enough to feel the fist pass by my ear. Now it didn't come out like this at first, it came out like this, right? So that I had time to program in, and as we did this over and over again, I started moving as soon as the body started turning, as soon as there was a little twitch in the shoulder, and instead of as soon as I registered hand movement, right, which sped up my reaction time, and over time it got faster and then faster and then faster, and boom, and before I knew it, I was going full speed, slip, 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 right, weave, weave, slip, slip, no problems. Didn't get hit. Developed me into a very, very, very proficient counter fighter. And so the point there is that after we spent about 3 months on these drills and I got to the point where I was basically doing things at full fight speed, no problems, without feeling tense, then we added a new drill. And then we would do like 1 round instead of 5 or 6 rounds of practice on that drill, and then go right into the next things. So you may spend, you know, maybe 5 minutes a day practicing a couple of different transitions, and then once you've learned them and you're really good at them, then you'll be able to just do them, you know, maybe for like 30 seconds in your warm-up, and then get to work on the next things that you're really trying to learn. right? And as you master more and more things, then you'll be able to start putting them together, and that's when you really start to grow as a mover. So that, I would say that that's really a big part of longevity. The other part is making sure that you maintain balance in your structure while you move. If all you do is move, there's no guarantee that you're not going to unwittingly overuse, and that's, you know, not like in the sense that you're going to wear them away, but you overemphasize certain aspects of your body and underemphasize others, right? So maybe you do a lot of spinal extension, but you don't do as much curling under into spinal flexion, right, in safe ways. And maybe you do a lot of pushing yourself to the right or flipping to the left, but you don't do so much the other way. You're going to develop an unbalanced body that way. So even if you never develop the same proficiency in both directions, you want to make sure that you at least put some practice in some way to balance your physique out, to balance the strength and tension across the joints out, so that your left and your right stay reasonably similar to each other, even if actual skill level is different from one side to the other, which is normal. The strength levels and the balance across the joints on the left side and the right side, we really want to keep very similar. And I would say that those are your biggest parts for maintaining longevity in your movement practice. We could probably talk about this for an hour if we wanted to, but I don't want to make a video that long. So we're going to cut this one off here. Thank you for the question. Again, ask more questions. Keep it coming. I love this stuff. Thank you very much. And any comments, additions, things like that, maybe we'll talk about different aspects. And I'll have to rename this and just call it Longevity and Movement Part 1. We'll just have to see what comes. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoy this, click the subscribe button. I'm sorry, it's, you know, like 1:30 in the morning, and for whatever reason I can't sleep. It's just, I've been very erratic with my schedule lately, and you know, it is what it is. A lot of stuff going through my mind these days. So again, subscribe if you like the videos. Stay tuned. We're going to keep pumping stuff out, and you're going to see a lot of improvements and refinements and new things coming in addition to just video blogs. So I appreciate everybody's continued involvement, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.